Welcome back to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. Sitting here in-house with the one and only Jerry Bell, formerly from Newbirth and the Dazz Band, now a solo artist out there on Universal Bungalow. But there's another side to Jerry that I never knew, and I'll bet you most of you didn't either. Okay, so you've got this incredible musical career that has spanned decades. Newbirth, Dazz Band, now on your own. Let's talk a little bit about another side of you, because I did a little research. And found out that you're quite the martial artist. But before we get to the actual martial arts side of you, I found, in my digging around, that there's actually an artist side to you that was heavily influenced by your time spent in the East. You actually are an artist, like an artist, like painting artist. Tell me a little bit about that.
I used to train a Japanese man's son. He is a very, very well-known artist. His name is Muramasa Kudo, and he's in Guns and Galleries, and his paintings are all over the place. And so I was intrigued by his art, and he said, well, what we'll do is instead of me paying you, you train my son, and I will teach you how to use the brush. And so there's a difference between you doing brush art and doing pencil art. And so doing the brush art was such unique and amazing for me because I'm a swordsman as well, from the martial arts. So he would explain that the stroke of the brush is like the stroke of the sword. The stroke of the brush is like the stroke of the hand in striking. It must be defined, and it has to be accurate and on point. And so when I started trying to put all this together, and he said, and what happens is when you use the brush and you move it across the paper, because we paint on rice paper and stuff, he said when you move it across the paper, you must move it with rhythm. So, of course, being in the music.
There you go. You had that covered.
Yes, indeed. So I started learning how to do Japanese and Chinese calligraphy through him. And then when I moved to Japan, it just really started flourishing even more because I got a chance to meet other great artists in Japan and see the different calligraphies and the different modernized Japanese art that they were doing. And it just became a part of me. So that's relaxational yoga.
Exercise for you? That's your yoga?
That's my yoga, So that's what I do. I also do that, and I sell a lot of my artwork, and and I do it for a lot of my students and do a lot of portraits and stuff like that.
Very good. Well, now we've talked about your art. Let's move and start talking about the martial arts side of you.
Oh, yeah.
So how, and I know that this didn't just happen. This has been going on for years as well. Simultaneously, you've got this incredible music career, but you've also had an incredible experience in the martial arts world. Let's talk about how martial arts entered your life. And I see that you've got a dojo, is that right?
That's correct.
Out in Riverside.
Yes, indeed.
And so let's talk about first how martial arts entered your life.
I started training in martial arts when I was 10 years old. My first teacher was my father. My father was a hand-to-hand combat instructor in the military. And so whenever his leave was, he would come home, and this is the things that he would take the brothers through. And then my oldest brother, he was in the Marines, and he studied in Philadelphia at an organization called the East Coast Karate Association. And at that time, when I was growing up, the Japanese were just being deployed over here to start teaching traditional karate in the United States. Before that time, there was judo that was going on, and then the Chinese had the kung fu systems, but they were not teaching what they call kwai lo, which means foreigner. So they weren't teaching the foreigners. So the black neighborhoods were the ones to actually push the martial arts very, very big, because at one time during the late 40s, the martial arts movies and stuff that were coming from Hong Kong and Japan, the samurai films and those type of things, they were not allowed in the white theaters. So they were pushed over into the black theaters. And so everybody became we knew who Satoichi was, or Sonny Chiba, or when the Bruce Lee movies first came out, even with Bruce Lee in the 60s. So everyone was a martial artist buff, and where I grew up in Philadelphia, New York, and Jersey, we were very, very strong on traditional karate, traditional martial arts. And I had the opportunity to be an exchange student and go from the United States to Japan and train, and I ended up learning how to speak the languages. So I learned how to speak Japanese, Chinese, Korean.
You still speak all these languages?
Yes,
Oh,
most
wow.
definitely. And Malay. 1987, I competed in Japan. I lived in Japan 18 years, so I was commuting back and forth between the United States and Tokyo. And in 1987, I won the World Karate Cup. Karate championships in Japan. I defeated the Japanese champion there. And then I came back here and was competing on the circuit throughout the United States and, did very, very well. Got in a couple of magazines, martial arts magazines. I'm actually on the cover of one issue, which is called the Karate Illustrated. It's their anniversary issue. They put me on the cover of in 1993. And then I started competing again in 2004. I came back because I retired. I had 500 fights, never defeated. Came back again in 2004 and competed again in Japan and won the championship again in Osaka, Japan.
The world?
Yes.
Wow. This is 2004?
Yes.
Wow.
So now we have a dojo karate school in Riverside, and in that karate school, actually my business partner, and one of my students, my black belt, is in the house with us here. His name is Terrell Johnson. We have a couple of instructors out at the school out there, and we teach traditional martial arts: Japanese karate, aikido, judo. We teach kendo, which is with the wooden sword, and also a system called Shorinji Kempo. And then we teach another system which he does, which is called American Kempo.
Why martial arts? Is it because it got introduced to you through the movies initially?
No. It wasn't. Actually, it wasn't even through the movies. When I grew up in Philadelphia, in a neighborhood, I grew up in West Philly. So during the time I was growing up, it was rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, it
talked about the streets of West Philly. Yeah,
actually, we went to the same school, same high school. Went to West Philly High in Overbrook. So Will went to Overbrook. I went to Overbrook for a while, and then I ended up in West Philly. But we all come from that area. Will is from West. I'm from 46 and Locust. Bill Cosby lived around the corner in Philadelphia from where I'm at. There's an actor, very prominent actor here. His name is Kevin Hooks. He has a son named Kevin Hooks Jr. And they live right next door to us. So, we all come out of that Philadelphia stable.
And then having Dad being a hand-to-hand combat in the military probably helped at least instill the initial interest.
A great deal. And and I didn't mention, I had a younger brother who's passed now, but he was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was running back for USC, and he was also played for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His name was Ricky Bell.
That was your younger brother?
That was my younger brother. Yeah.
What a family.
Yeah. So, Mom was a singer, so that's where we get the pipes from. And the martial arts is, it keeps me grounded. It doesn't let me escape the realities of who I am, what I am, and why I am. And growing up during the Civil Rights Movement, too, enabled me to stay focused and centered. We had no choices either because we came out of a strict home, So, and then during the time I was growing up, I came up with Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown, Huey Newton, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali. These were the people that I was influenced by. Besides the family members and wanting to do something constructive with my life. To enhance being a better citizen and a man. So
taking all of this information, the experiences, being an African American man in Japan had to be an interesting experience.
Oh yeah, that's funny. I had to laugh at that because one is when I first started training in Japan. The Japanese and the Koreans can be very, very. You deal with what you were dealing with here in the early 60s and 50s was the racism was very strong, but I was very determined, and they had a different outlook on us, as far as African Americans were concerned. They looked different upon us than they would the Caucasian. So my father always told me, if you're going to do something, you be the best at it, not good, but the best. And so that's what my striving was, to become the best. And by some means, I hope that I accomplished that.
Well, I think you did it not once but twice. Not once but twice.
What got me over is learning the language. That was the first of showing them that I respect their culture, which is actually our culture, because everything comes from the motherland. And, just unfortunately, it branched off into different sectors. So what I did was I went back into history and decided to learn myself all over again. And I started picking up the languages and communicating. And during the time I was there, I had a job to support myself. I was working for Toyota Motors as a translator.
Wow.
So I would translate and then go train and come back and go train and, and then all the car companies also had martial arts teams. So whenever they have lunch breaks built into their curriculum on their workforce, they also trained. They either had a kendo team, or they had a karate team, or they had a judo team. And so they would compete, and I had a chance to train under those circumstances too.
Now, this was in Japan?
Yes.
I was it doesn't sound like the auto workers in the U.S. that I know, because on their breaks they were not doing karate.
No. They should have been, because the companies would still be flourishing right now. And and then I traveled through other places. I lived in Malaysia for 6 years. I taught the Malay Army for the King of Malaysia, and then I was one of the assistants to the Sultan of Brunei, and I had a chance to train some of his military. Came back, I did a couple of things in film. I have some celebrity students. Cuba Gooding Jr. was one of my top students. Wesley Snipes, Isaac Hayes was a student of mine. Linda Evans, just different people of this nature. Eddie Griffin, most definitely. I can't forget Ed. Eddie. Eddie was one of my students. He's crazy as heck, but but yeah, he was training with me for almost 7 years. But I've had a very good move within the martial arts, and martial arts and music coincides, because it's harmony, and it's like poetry in motion, and again, it keeps me centered. It gives me the awareness of what I am and how I am supposed to conduct myself on the planet, and the inner strength, my mental capacity. It gives me the focus to move forward and not let anything stand in the way as an obstacle, in the climate. So
taking all of everything that you've learned from the music industry and performing and traveling the world, and then martial arts, and understanding, which I think most people understand now, is that martial arts is not just a physical thing.
Correct.
It's a physical and mental journey.
And spiritual.
Most definitely. Yeah. And spiritual journey. It's a 3-part journey. Yeah. So you've been able to do all of that and do it exceptionally. What could you tell the listening audience, gathering together everything that you've learned, that could help someone understand how to move forward in life?
I have to go back to my friend Marvin Gaye. He told me one time, he says there are 3 P's to life: patience, perseverance, and persistence. And putting those together with honesty of you, of yourself, not honesty between 2 people, but honesty of you. Being honest with who you really are and what your plight is on this planet, because we are all allotted so many breaths. And after that time, that last one is the last one. So what have you acquired and accomplished, and what did you leave behind is very important. How it's said in the Japanese is, how do you leave this earth with what you've acquired through all the things that you've gathered from the day you were able to speak one word? What is your legacy? So, you have responsibilities. And every human being on this planet has a responsibility to not only yourself, but to other people, your family. Your family name is very important. How you carry yourself as a woman or as a man, even a child, a teenager, you have a responsibility. I see some of the young men walking around, their pants bagging down, and they rude, and there's, smoking and getting high. And that's a reflection on your mother and father. That's very, very bad, for you to leave that legacy on your parents, and your parents having to leave this earth to travel to the spiritual world, knowing that this is what I left behind. This is what has to follow or go forward to represent me. The young ladies and how they carry themselves, and not in the respectful manner of the way that they should. How does that reflect on your mother, on your grandmother, on your great grandmother, your ancestors? So we have a responsibility that is very heavy. And most human beings have no clue to who they are, what they are, and why they are. And they take these breaths for granted until the ultimate truth comes, when that last breath hits,
Yeah, and a lot of people are like,
Yeah.
And then it's too late.
Yes, indeed. And unfortunately, we see many of our people leaving this planet in a very bad manner. Whatever your vibe is that you carry with you, that is what draws certain types of energy, to you, which causes the most devastating things to happen, not only to you, but also to your offspring. Also, you're bringing it back to the people who you claim you love or who love you, So you have to be very careful of how you walk the earth and what your intentions are.
Yes, because what goes around always
comes around. Yes, it does.
Comes around. There is absolutely
I wrote a song called that.
No way around it.
Yeah. That's right.
And it might not even come back to you. It might come back to your kids.
Yeah.
But it's coming back.
That's right.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I tell you what an amazing profile of life and success you are, Jerry. I mean, just absolutely amazing. I learned things about you that I did not know, things that I did know from being in music for 26 years. I kind of knew a little bit about your musical background, but just an outstanding human being and an amazing profile of life and success. Your children must be very proud of their dad.
I should hope so. You know how it is when you have children. You have those, moments.
Well, yeah, because we were all kids, and we know how we felt when we were kids.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty much. So my little ones, they're very excited. I'm successful in being alive this long. I'm 61 years old, so I made it this far with very few scrapes, so I'm successful with being alive. That's the greatest thing of success. Money, it comes and goes. Houses, cars, whatever, all that stuff come and go. But if you have your health and you're alive, then you are a successful human being.
And what is your legacy? How do you think people will, or how would you hope people would remember you?
How would I hope people would remember me? That's a good question. As a good father and a good friend. Everything else is just some little icings on the cake, but a good father and a good friend. Yeah.
A website, if people want to go listen to your music, find out more about you, interact. I know there's Facebook, Twitter, everything, so go on ahead and give it to me.
Yeah, they can come see me on Facebook under Jerry Bell Dazz for the music. If they want to know about the martial arts, everything is under Jerry Bell on the Facebook page. So they can come on there and see there's a music page, there's a martial arts page that's up. I have a website up, which is called, it's jerrybellmusic.com. You can pull me up on, if you go to Jerry Bell /Dazz Band on Yahoo or Google, then a lot of stuff will come up on that.
Out at your dojo in Riverside, there's lots of classes and private lessons available. There's martial arts, karate, jiu-jitsu, self-defense, kickboxing, fitness, all kinds of things going on out there. How come there's not a place in L.A.? I can't drive to Riverside every day to work out.
Oh, you can come, you take the train out, come out there twice a week, once a week, it'd be good for you, But yeah, we're planning on branching out. We have one in Ghana. I have a martial arts organization in Osaka, Japan.
Very good.
We're moving around.
Well, Jerry Bell, congratulations on being an amazing profile in life and success. Continued success to you in your current single that's out. Again, that link to that YouTube will be up so that people can hear the song in its entirety.
Right. It's a music video too, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, continued success. And Mikasa Tsukasa, my mic is your mic. You are welcome here anytime.
Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you very much.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more amazing than that profile, wait till you see the one I've got coming up next. Cynthia St. James is next on the Community Review, Hot 92.3.